twese hamwe birashoboka.
We got you updated. This is Radio Imanzi News in English.
This is Radio Imanzi, broadcasting from Kigali. Here is the news in English, brought to you by Fiona Umoganwa. The headlines. Rwanda and the World Bank have signed a new $129 million financing agreement to support the government's effort to improve teacher competence and student retention. African media professionals have been urged to avoid hate speeches and speeches that promote divisionism and instead put the interests of Africans first. About 24 people have died and more than 5,600 have been displaced by the ongoing flash flooding in eastern Uganda. Welcome back. News in detail. Rwanda and the World Bank have signed a new $129 million financing agreement to support the government's efforts to improve teacher competence and student retention. For the past 3 years, the initiative has recorded successes in school access as well as improved teaching and learning conditions. For example, a steering committee meeting to, among others, track project progress noted that of the 22,505 classrooms built, 11,004 units were financed through the initiative. According to officials, this has brought an estimated approximation of about 2 million school-age children within a 2-kilometer radius of their homes, as well as reduced the student-to-class ratio at the primary level from 73 in 2019 to 49 in 2021. During a period of socio-economic distress, over 100,000 laborers were employed. The funds will also be used to provide innovative audiovisual programs and learning materials for primary school students. African media professionals have been urged to avoid hate speeches and speeches that promote divisionism and instead put the interests of Africans first. Ivete Rudasingwa has more on this report.
The call was made in Kigali during the first Ordinary General Assembly for Audiovisual and Communication Regulators of Central African States. The Media Regulators Association expressed concern about hate speech that promote division.
It is a very serious problem because when you look at the social media, particularly, you find this hate speech either from individuals, groups, or targeting authorities, targeting tribes, targeting countries, targeting communities, and so on and so forth. It is a reality. And sometimes it can provoke a community into violence. And when I think about violence, I think about your country, Rwanda. And I want to seize this opportunity to congratulate the authorities of Rwanda, headed by His Excellency Paul Kagame, for the warm reception and the exemplary leadership he has shown to the rest of Africa, coming out of this very serious crisis which you had in 1994. Today, Rwanda is the pride of the continent. And I want to also seize this opportunity to call on journalists and the press that they are the eyes and the ears of the public. And they have to act responsibly to give the people just the right information which they need to have. They are the ones who have been trained how to collect and treat information for consumption by the public. And so they have to do that in the most responsible manner, respecting the ethics and deontology of the profession.
Cleophas Vere, the chairperson of the Rwanda Media Commission, noted that African media should not fall into the trap of colonialism and instead work for the benefit of Africans. He said that considering the proliferation of hate speech in some African countries, journalists should report responsibly to prevent hate speech. The call is made at the time hate speech is on the rise in DRC, which is a member of the platform among other countries. Currently, internationally renowned scholars have expressed concern over what they termed as rapidly growing hate speech targeting Kinyarwanda speakers in the DRC Congo. Jean-Marie Vianney Gatabazi, the Minister of Local Government, urged journalists to work professionally with the aim of boosting people's welfare and national development. He said hate speech in the media can only lead to deterioration of national development. He called on media regulators international to visit Kigali Genocide Memorial to learn about the history of 1994 genocide against Tutsi, how it was planned and executed, and how media played role in destroying the country through hate speech. The media regulators can also learn how the country was rebuilt and how professional media should play a role in transformation journey of region countries. Yvette Dasingo, Radio Imanzi.
People living in Musanze city's suburbs have expressed concern about the trash on the streets. They say that some people come out at night to throw trash on the streets or in front of other people's houses. Residents have asked the authorities to find a solution to the problem because there's trash everywhere in the street, with some even covering water channels. It is said that when it rains, the water transports trash into people's homes. Ramri Janvier, the mayor of Musanze district, said the problem will be resolved as soon as possible, especially since guests will be arriving for the gorilla naming ceremony. Residents have also started a campaign to go from house to house, checking the cleanliness, and if your home is dirty, they will help you to clean up, but will also fine you in order to raise awareness of the importance of living clean. Nyagatare district authorities have said they have found partners who will help bring clean water to Kiyombe sector residents. Felix Wimana has more on this report.
This follows complaints from residents that they are drinking dirty water from dams, which makes them sick and gives them diseases. They said that even water reservoirs in the sector do not supply Kiyombe, but they are instead used for supplying other sectors in Nyagatare. According to Matsuko Gonzag, the deputy mayor in charge of economic development, a project dubbed Muvumba Multipurpose Water Resources Development is being launched in order to solve the problem. He said they will soon publish a public tender for the project so that the bidders can submit their bids. Muvumba Multipurpose Dam project will construct a dam of 30.5 meter high, which will impound 35 million cubic meter of water in Karama, Gatunda and the Rukomo sectors, and we provide water for domestic use to Karangazi, Rwemasha and Nyagatare sectors. The program objective is to improve water, energy and food security of Nyagatare district by harnessing water resources for irrigation, domestic and livestock water supply and hydropower use, while ensuring sustainability of the resources and building resilience against climate change and variability through the catchment of protection and capacity development. Felix Potts.
Thank you, Felix. We shall come back with economic news. Economic news is a regular feature on Radio Imanzi. The Rwanda Stock Exchange Market Report. The trading session recorded its turnover of 515,000 Rwandan francs worth of bonds traded in one deal on the fixed income market and 267,100 Rwandan francs from 1,100 shares traded in two deals on the equities market. Bank of Kigali closed the counter at 272 Rwandan francs. The trading session recorded its turnover of 217,600 Rwandan francs from 800 shares traded in one deal. Bregwa closed the counter at 165 Rwandan francs. The trading session recorded its turnover of 49,500 from 300 shares traded in one deal. Equities counters closed with I&M Bank at 43 Rwandan francs, Simirgwa at 120 Rwandan francs, M10 Rwanda at 177 Rwandan francs, Equity Bank at 440 Rwandan francs, Kenya Commercial Bank at 370 Rwandan francs, National Media Group at 1,200 Rwandan francs, Uchumi Supermarket at 104 Rwandan francs, and R8 Buffalo closed the counter at 526 Rwandan francs as the market closed. The currency market review of today. The Kenyan shilling buying price was 8.5 Rwandan francs and the selling price was 8.7 Rwandan francs. Tanzanian shilling buying price was 0.43 and the selling price was 0.44. Ugandan shilling buying price was 0.27 and the selling price was 0.277. Burundian franc buying price was 0.49 and the selling price was 0.5. The US dollar buying price was 1,021 and the selling price was 1,042. The British pound buying price was 1,238 and the selling price was 1,263. The euro buying price was 1,040 and the selling price was 1,060.
Some items of international news on Radio Imanzi.
Leaders of Southern African nations are meeting in Kinshasa for their 42nd summit. The leaders are expected to review the progress made towards achieving closer integration and deepening regional trade. The summit will be held under the theme Promoting Industrialization through Agro-Industry, Mineral Resource Enrichment and Regional Value Chains for Inclusive and Resilient Economic Growth. The President of Tanzania has ordered police officers with big pot bellies to go back for training because it hinders their performance. Samia Suluhu Hassan made the remarks during the completion of officers' training in Boma Kichaka. She said that while inspecting the parade, she noticed that those leading the march were veteran officers and some of them had big bellies. They're not supposed to have officers with big bellies. According to the head of state, losing weight will enable the officers to go about their jobs swiftly. She noted that they should go back for training so that they can be lighter and effectively execute their duties. About 24 people have died and more than 5,600 people have been displaced by the ongoing flash flooding in eastern Uganda. According to the government, about 400,000 people have been left without clean water and more than 2,000 hectares of crops have been destroyed. 3 health centers in Bale were damaged and many people have had to travel up 60 miles to find the closest hospital. Rescue efforts have been hampered by rainfall with a number of areas still inaccessible. The government has said it needs Ugandan shillings 100 billion to restore infrastructure in the damaged areas. A measles outbreak in Zimbabwe has killed 157 children, most of whom were unvaccinated due to their families' religious beliefs, according to officials. The measles outbreak was first reported in the eastern Manicaland province in early April and has since spread to all parts of the country. The Information Minister Monica Mtswanga said at least 2,056 cases have been reported and virtually all of the deaths have been children who were not vaccinated. The government says it is embarking on a mass vaccination campaign targeting children aged between 6 months and 15 years old and is engaging traditional and faith leaders to support the drive. With that, we come to the end of tonight's edition.